The games are about to begin. You're watching Butler Esports.
What's up, and welcome back, fellow Siege spectators and players. It's the Siege Double Shot coming at you, Butler land style. I am the Reverend Whiskey Glitter, and with me, as always, my partner, my co-host, and this time, live and in person, Mr. Whiskey Run. What you think, Whiskey?
Yeah, welcome everyone here to the $4,000 Butler Fall Break LAN event taking place here at the university. And so far, been a great day to start off with. Some great games, some blowouts, some much closer than that. And for us, like we said, this is a best of two round differential. Every round counts. No trolling, no throwing. Just go at it. And that makes it for really exciting games because everybody wants to get that 7-0 victory. Now, the question, the big one is, where are we going to go and who are we playing with? We're going to start on University of Cincinnati versus Kennesaw. So we talked about Cincinnati had two very, very great games to kick this off. So they're the only undefeated team in the tournament so far. See if they can carry that forward here to game this second set of games.
That's right. And where are we going to go to do it? Man, it couldn't have picked a better map, right? I mean, Lair. We get Lair.
Yes.
This is going to be insanely fun, right? Huge map. And it's so new, right? Everybody's still figuring out how they want to get in. How do you want to attack it? How do you want to what sort of team aspect are you bringing to this new map, right? So huge roaming, huge isolation on players that are out. And you know what I'm hoping to see myself a little bit of cat play. You hear me talk about it all the time, Whiskey. This time, this is a map that can potentially bring it out, right?
Yeah, you love the Cav. I mean, like we said, Layer's a huge map, plenty of opportunity for that kind of play style. And talking with the team ahead of time, right? Gilly, he was in for it. He loved it, loved the idea. I think there is definitely a possibility that we're going to see it. Now, a big piece of that is going to depend on whether or not these guys are up high in the round count. We talked about it. They've got to keep that round differential high. But the good thing for Cincinnati is they're already plus 10, right? They're more than double the round count for the next closest in their group. So they're looking very solid for that number one seed. So could they afford to throw one? I think the answer is yes, to make it happen.
Listen, Cav is not a throw play. Cav is for a distinguished set of individuals who understand the game of Siege. And on Lair, it's possible. It's happening. Let's get into the bans here, right? Couple of standards coming out. Monty, the first off the board. I mean, you just can't play a game of Siege with Monty, right? He is banned out like in almost every single competitive scene that we see. The fun pick on the second side of it, the second attacker, we're going to take Deimos off the board. Why is that important for Lair? Lair is huge, right? And he does such a great job at finding those players that are going to be in those off areas. They're going to be in those corners that are going to be playing that rat role, right? So take him out. Now, what does that leave? Dokkaebi is going to be on the board, right? And we have been just watching. We talked about it before the game started. Dokkaebi has just been huge for that DMR. Not only, of course, the intelligence that brings along the opportunities for the kills, but that the DMR meta. I mean, we are sitting in it, and those who know play those DMRs.
Yeah, we talked about that during the analyst test. This option for the DMR to come out, and yeah, not gonna have the Deimos. And yeah, you talked about Monty. He's been banned like 75% of the time. Like you said, I don't know that I've seen a game in Year 9 Season 3 where he's been there, but Skopos being banned, that was interesting. She's been was quarantined for a while to start off with. A lot of glitches that they had to deal with, but to take the ban and use it here is a little bit surprising. To me, that says that Cincinnati is worried that Kennesaw, and I know they said they got some friends on these teams, they play together, they know, knew that they had something special with Skopos bringing out. That feels a little bit like a target.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the defense, we'll take it, that Azami, right? The architect, the one who rebuilds the site. It takes all these angles that you know well and creates entirely new ones. And on a map that you don't know as well, Lair being brand new, huge. So taken off the board. Let's talk about the defense. It's round one as we're getting started. They're already pushing in here. We're going to see Frost find the first kill, but it's going to be followed up. It's Buck going to take the head off of Vanessa. Takes us into a 4-4 in the first minute of gameplay as they're actually just making their way into sight. A couple of shots ringing through the doors. Going to see some early engagement in a low health scenario for the Bandit, who is going to find his life forfeit quickly. That is the knife that takes him down. Buck to find the second, but it's Phineas on the backside. Going to take that Vector and ring out for a headshot. Couple of toes, a C4 out. Can he find it in time? No! He's going to find his own life forfeit as he sends that out against the Blitz, and that's going to be the plant going down as they are going to go ahead and confirm that kill. It's a 2v1 now, all onto the shoulders of Castle. He's got to bring it back, and he's got the vertical to do it here, Whiskey.
35 seconds left, almost no time, but the vertical coverage that holding on here is going to make this really difficult. And we'll talk about it at the end here as finally Kennesaw finds the first win on attack. This was sort of the setup that we saw from the SSG ACAD team during the open qualifier playoffs for the NAL, the path to the major. We were seeing this that bunks push in, that being the major part. You saw everybody setting up on the CCTV terrace outside, going in through the breach, going in through the doors there in the bunks, but then vertical coverage above from R6. So we're going to see that try maybe the second time around. They're going to go for the first floor defense. Same thing again.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the standard, right? We're seeing this on maps across the board where having that vertical both above and below really forces you to have to suss out where the heck everybody's sitting at. Now, on a map that is as huge as Lair, that presents a problem, right? Because it's a little bit tougher to get yourself back up into sight. So the roam game can't be as extensive unless you're going to be playing that life scenario. So you're right. Take it back, start it over, and this time we're still going to bring out the castle. I think that's huge, especially for the map like this, right? It helps facilitate that extension and force you to use some gadgets and utility that maybe you might not necessarily have brought along in the first place if he wasn't there.
Boy, the Blitz. You know, we'd seen Monty band on almost every round, and for sure the rise of the Blitz. And I know if you've watched us cast before, and I know we've talked about it, I feel like the Blitz is not a great pick overall. There's a lot of great attacking operators, but in the rise of the shield meta, and as players get more comfortable in the way that he's being played, for sure I think his utility is increasing. And pause so far, not a bad way to start it off, but I like Cincy bringing out the breach, and I'll try to deny this push in through bunks, but they've got to hold on to the vertical to make this a lot more tough for the team to push in. You can see a little bit of focus upstairs on the 2F in the push in from this defense, but look at this, so focusing on that main bunks wall with Bandit going for the trick.
Yeah, I think he might have got it there as well, as they're going to hold it, and there's going to be a Vector, take pause off the board. Blitz not going to be a non-issue as the body balance sits in favor of Cincinnati on this defensive take. It's first minute gone, so Drone's gotten in there. They're trying to suss out this roam game. We have 3 members up top in the 2F area, right? And speaking of it, there's going to be the first one taken down as Castle going to find his life forfeit, and that's the equalization here, as we now sit 4-4, minute and 34 left on the board.
Yeah, that was, you had both Ferb and Bally upstairs holding that R6 spot, right? That was the Warden ramping hold above on bunks, and it was exactly the way it played out, right? They tried to get the bunks wall open, make the push in, denied from the vertical. Even though Castle's down, you still got Wamai playing upstairs, and you're gonna play the spoiler here, so Thatcher has got to try and make the push up, but given away by that Prox mine. Still working on trying to clear some of this utility. You've got a minute left, and Kennesaw find a way to get that plant down or win the previous round. Cincinnati's round differential counts. So can they hold on? And look at that. You talked about the vertical from above and below. Agent P going to be the one to take down River, and River was one of the big players from this team on the previous round. River's got 17 kills on game 1, so he's the one they got to watch out for. Not yet a win condition, but definitely an important player.
Yeah, impactful as always. So now, Whiskey, that takes us 1 apiece, and as we're trying to figure out, you know, obviously statistically there is a this is attacker sided, this is defensive sided, but like overall, we can't quite tell that just yet. So it's fun watching these two go back and forth, especially with so much on the line. So this time, take it up to the 2F, right? Kind of the classic where you see inside of the ranked area, and it's some classic players being brought along to do it. They're going to give a focus on making sure that they hold some of those walls close. It's the Bandit Tubarão combo that really just slows it down. But what we're looking at here, Whiskey, is Cincinnati's building this layered defense, right? This onion, if you will, defense that, yeah, sure, you get past the Bandit with an EMP, you got a Tubarão to deal with. You get past the Tubarão, you have the mirror that you have to deal with. You get past that mirror and stop that and turn it into a regular wall. Then you still have to deal with the Malusis for the push-in or the vertical game that Valkyrie brings to the table. For an up-top defense, this is pretty huge, and we do have a double roam going on, right? Not necessarily what I was expecting, seeing Tubarão being on that first floor in the reception area instead of up there helping support that main wall hold.
Yeah, and Valkyrie downstairs in the basement, and even playing a little bit on the exterior there. But if you're new to playing a layer, watching layer, a lot of the focus is on that master mask side where you got the double reinforced or double breachable walls, one out on that balcony, one in through the mezzanine. That being a really important focus, and you can see that's exactly where Osa's trying to make this push in that sky bridge area. You have the operations side push, or you have the server side R6 room push. And right now, it looks like Kennesaw was sort of setting up for the operations side, but now with 4 left and pause on very low HP, gonna have to adapt and change up the strategy a little bit.
That's right, couple of trains ring out as we find ourselves now in a 4v3. A minute and 50 left on the board, and that's going to be Ace taken down, which is going to leave a low health scenario. No, not another, the Pokeball. Instead, he says, I choose me, and sends himself to an early grave. Now puts him into a 3v1 situation. Not sure if Ace is going to be recoverable here, but Osa does find their life forfeit. I don't like the Osa call, Whiskey, right? I think the Blitz is the better call here because your movement, you're rapid, you're in your face. You've got a gadget that allows you to take that space a little bit more safely, while with that Osa, and he is going to be able to get that Ace up, of course. With the Osa, you're basically just a walking shield with all of your legs exposed. So puts her down to a 5 health and then immediately taken off the board. We've got 65 left on the board in this 3v2. Need a little bit of a redirect here by the attack side because they've got their work cut out for them. Plenty of time though, Whiskey, right? Send in some drones, get some locations here.
Ace got shot through that main breach, right into the mask area, but I don't think that the wall was opened large enough to be able to make the push in. They're going to see them redirect and change the way that they're going to try and approach it. But I think the big piece they got to worry about, Tubarão still playing down below on that first floor, holding the shots up through the floor. The two players, the two defenders upstairs can just focus. They can take the engagement directly and know that you've got Phineas playing down below, and there it is. He's going to be the one to clean it up there.
Yeah.
Round 3.
Just like to point out, too, we still had 3 C4s on the board, right? So with an Ace at 20 HP, we've seen some really crazy, like field of or range that the C4s can hit when you're on that low health scenario. With 3 of them, there's just no shot, right? 1 from below, 1 from outside, and 1 from up top, and it's a good night, bye-bye, baby. Cincinnati gonna take it up as the first bit of round rotate is over. So getting into the back half of the first map.
Finishing off that round rotate, so we saw the first floor bunks, which is for sure the preferred first floor site, right? It seems like we rarely see anyone really go for the armory side. It just does not seem to be the favored side of the first floor. Then they went upstairs on the 2F, so now we get to see the hold downstairs in the basement. This combination of attackers or of defenders brought out the Vigil, the Cade, and then that extra support from the Echo. I love the rise that we've seen in the Echo play, the rise in the intel. I think we were seeing Valkyrie get banned often, right? She was banned in both of the first 2 games that the stream saw. So teams are sort of relied on an alternative just in case she gets banned, right? Echo rarely banned, but a really good opportunity that intel plus the plant denial could come up huge for this team. So Kennesaw, interesting pick, bringing out the sledge. You know, in the soft destruction world, the combination of the ram, the combination of the buck, really is the more common one. So interesting to see what they're going to try and make work here with sledge.
Yeah, he's almost become like a non item here, Sledge. There's just operators that do it better, unless you're L85 specific, right? You love the gun. You're also going to be bringing along all that soft damage. You're going to have those grenades, force some of those players out of those critical push points. But you're right. So bring out the ram to do most of the heavy lifting, and the Sledge in case we bring a castle. Got a little bit of that flank watch in the hands of Gridlock. And then the one who is normally banned out, right? Doe could be on the board with Jackal as well, which means they're going to put a huge dedication in trying to suss out where everybody's at. There's only one roamer, and he has already made his way back down into sight, and that's going to be the Vigil with that Boss G. So bunkered down now, Whiskey, here as we get our last minute and 42 on the board. Almost no engagement so far.
Yeah, this round moving a little bit slower than some of the previous as they're working on getting this set up. But man, look at this. So dedication to holding the vertical, and the fact that you've got all 5 of the defenders rotated back down with a minute and a half, only half of this round done. A little bit surprising the way that Cincinnati had been playing. They had been playing just a little bit with a little bit more roam, a little bit extra coming out, but really slowed down the pace here on round 4. And it's the first time we're seeing basement, so neither of the teams getting a chance to adapt at how this one's going to play out. But you called it. Look at this. The roam clear happening. Doe could be just being a pain for everyone as they've got to try and deal with it. Shotgun coming out, though.
No.
Smoke holding on.
Oh!
There it is.
Jeez. Caught him slipping, put him sleeping, Whiskey. That's going to put the body balance in favor of Kennesaw here as they find themselves 4v3 with 43 seconds left on the board. So they've got the man advantage here, but time starts to dwindle as you have the Echo that can still deny plant, but not if she dies right now at that 8 HP. Puts himself on a low health scenario, but it's a one-shot headshot game, so still can be that impactful player. A huge investment in the vertical here as they still have 2 members up top trying to facilitate that, and there it is. The DMR, we talked about it. It gets traded out as Paz gets his body riddled full of that Cade Shoddy. Answered back now into a 2v2. It's 11 seconds left, and all of a sudden, the attackers find themselves on the back foot here with no diffuser in hand. It winds down. They're going to have to go for the frags here. They pick up. They're going to get inside. Cross set up, but no, not going to happen. Shots, they're held. The crossfire's in place. Just not enough time to be able to get it in. Defense did a really good job at determining how the pace of that round was going to be set.
Oh, no. The question marks coming out in chat. Oh, what a tough round there for the Kennesaw team. It's completely shut down, but on the back of an incredible triple there from Cade coming out. So now, here we go, 3-1. They've got the full round rotate. Cincy looking good here on this starting off on defense, right? Now they've won every site. They've taken the first floor, they took the second floor, they took the basement, and a little bit of a shaky start there on the first round, but they've come up clean on the next 3. So Kennesaw is going to need to try and make some adjustments in the way that they're playing this game, because right now, Cincinnati is the team to beat. They're looking good. Got to find something they can do here.
That's right, and that's what's good about this timeout, right? Take a second, talk about it. You know that this was going to be a battle coming in, and the fact that it went to Lair, if that was your idea, great. Yeah, you know, now you're like, okay, now it's time to implement the plan. If that was not your idea, it's what the heck are we going to do here on Lair? It's 3-1 as we find ourselves getting closer to the end of the first half here. And yeah, going to take it back to that first floor, Whiskey. Repeat, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, it'll be the 3rd time that we're seeing this site. And so, like similar to what we talked about, right? A lot of focus. You're going to see the Bandit playing on that main breach downstairs in the bunks area. And then 2F, R6, huge hold there. Ferb immediately runs upstairs and starts opening up holes in the floor, backed up by the Wamai to try and prevent any of those grenades coming in. Also backed up with the mirror windows. I mean, heavy investment in the 2F here from the Cincinnati team. So What are we seeing from Kennesaw? They had flashed Blackbeard for a second. He's going to get 6 picked off. For sure, Grimm a better operator in this case. But bringing along the Thatcher, I think almost a necessity here. But the changeup not going to bring out the blitz, not going to bring out the quick execute, which we saw in both of the first floor sites previously. So they're going to change up this style.
Yeah, that's right, and I like it. That's what you need to see here. We need some adaptation. If you always do what you always did, well, you always get what you always got. So switch it up, and that's exactly what they're doing here. On the defensive side of it, nothing to change, right? Bring along that slowdown capability. I love the Castle. If you've ever heard me talk about it before, he's one of my favorite defensive operators because he is a determiner of who you can bring to the field. He can set the pace. He can funnel the attacking teams into the place where the defense wants. That's going to be Paul. It's going to take the first one off the board. And because I was talking about him, it is going to be the Castle that gets taken down first. Followed up with a Mamai.
Whoa,
low
whoa,
scenario.
whoa.
Then quick double. Vanessa to find it on the backside. Vanessa on a third. Now puts him on pace for the ace here as we find ourselves in a 2-2 and a low health scenario for Frost. This is a difficult situation that started out, I thought, going to be in their favor.
Well, still a huge focus on the 2F here for the Kennesaw team. They know they've got to clear out because you cannot push into bunks if you've got a defender playing upstairs in R6. It just can't be done. Well, it can be done, but you're going to die on the way to it. So got to try and gain some of this control. You see Thatcher making sure everybody downstairs, but no, they still have got to deal with Frost. 3 HP. She's rotated back down to the first floor, so nobody left up on the 2F. Minute 19. So Kennesaw, this is where they wanted to be. They've got the diffuser in hand. They've got 2F control, and you've got the hard breach and the Thatcher together. The two that can try and open up enough sight lines, but
quad kill.
If you walk right into the gun of the person on pace for the ace, it's going to be a bad day.
That's right. 3 HP and a dream, and Vanessa living that dream currently. Thatcher, the lone wolf, the last alive. Let's see if he's got what it takes to bring it back. It's 50 seconds as Kennesaw trying to find a way to equalize. It's just going to take one shot into the foot onto the Frost, but the problem is you have to take on Vanessa, who's been having an incredible game. Agent P going to take it. It's a body shot. Take the round, and that's going to be another in favor of the defense.
I couldn't share the ace. I thought maybe, you get the old, let me get it, but not going to happen here. Winning the round, the more important thing, obviously, for this team. So Cincinnati up 4-1. If we're talking about Lair as a defensive map, and you're looking for the defensive split 4-2 half, but Cincinnati not content with a 4-2 half. They're going to go for it, and go for it in a big way. I know you saw it, my friend. Tell me about it.
Baby, it's one of my favorite players in Siege, and on a map like Lair can be absolutely devastating, right? The close quarter capabilities of the Cav, right? And you hear me talk about it all the time. It's not an operator we get to see very often. It's very niche. It's very specific. And this is exactly what you're looking for, right? Last round of the half, maybe you're not expecting something like that. This is where we see those off operators come into play, like the Capcan, right? We like seeing the Capcan in the late round because you're not expecting it. I like seeing the Cav in the late round, for one, because I love the Cav, right? Interrogation is probably one of the greatest moments in Siege history. But this is the part where they won't necessarily be expecting it, especially because you've been playing this very together gameplay, right? That they've been holding down and maybe sending out 1 or 2 roamers. Not a huge dedication on the other side. There's no Cav. There's no Dokkaebi. There is no Deimos on the board to be had here. So Cav could potentially be relatively free to roam.
Yeah, that's the surprising part. I know we talked with Gilly ahead of time that if they got into a situation where they were up in the round count and they were on a big map, they might bring her out, and that's exactly what he did here. And you talked about it. This is potentially the perfect opportunity with no roam clear from this attacking team. I think they're so focused on the hard breach because that's what Cincinnati had been working on, holding those early on in this game, that they didn't worry about it. And I think with the second floor site, they're thinking, okay, maybe there's not going to be that much roam that we need to worry about and not going to dedicate anybody to it. This could be the perfect opportunity. And The biggest thing I think that Kennesaw is worrying about here, or that they need to change up to try and find some wins, River. We talked about him. He was 17 kills on game 1.
There it
He has
is.
only come up with a first. 1 kill so far here on this. That is huge. He's got to get active in this game if Kennesaw is gonna find a way to win it.
No, Bajit gonna get taken off the board as the headshot rings out. You did see it. Cav did get a kill, not an interrogation, but found one. So the body balance resides in the hands of Cincinnati, but there it is. Phineas gets his head ripped apart. Now into a 3-3. Last round of the half here, a 5-1 is way different than a 4-2. So the pressure definitely on Kennesaw here to really secure themselves in another round. But as the time starts to tick down, Whiskey, as we start to get closer to the end of the half, it starts to get quite a bit more difficult for this attacking team. Need a bit of a redirect now to figure out what they're going to do. And still, like, Cav's already back into sight, right? She did her job, found the kill, wasted the time. It's going to start ticking down.
Yeah, and like you said, the redirect in place here, and it had felt a little bit one-dimensional from the Kennesaw team. Now they've got themselves split up, but boy, walking right into a bulletproof, they're going to know that's where the push is coming in from. But okay, C4 comes out, the trades, there's 25 seconds left.
That's right, and it starts to count down, and Goyle's going off, a couple of pre-fires through the wall, because they're going to get themselves in and set up ready for a plant, but holding up on the top, sees the head's going to miss that. That's going to be Cav taken down, and that's going to be Kennesaw to find the double on the backside of the half. 4-2 on the standard split. No surprises there, right? And Kennesaw, they needed this. The 5-1 is so different on a map like Lair than a 4-2 that now they get to go onto their defense kind of feeling okay. They hit their quota. They did what they needed to do. And now if they can just be one better on the backside of the half here, then they stand a chance of really starting to do something here.
Wow. When that round finished, you said that's what we were expecting. I was definitely expecting a Cincinnati win there. They had 2 defenders. They looked like they had the control, and then just lost 2 gunfights to a Kennesaw team that was hitting all their shots when it mattered most there at the very end, even it up in the 4-2 half. So now we get to see how is Cincinnati going to handle the attack. And if this was, the Kennesaw map pick, we'll see whether or not they're going to bring out something special on defense. It could be, but I'm still going to stick with Rivers got to stay alive and continue to try and boost that contribution to this team. Everybody else, right, sitting in that 4 or 5 mark, being a part, contributing enough. So that's I think the big thing that we're looking for here on defense, and bringing out the Wamai, great support, and most of this team clustered upstairs on that 2F. Only got Frost downstairs, hiding behind the desk. A little bit of a rat play.
Yeah, and you have to have it on Lair, right? That's like a necessity. You've got to have somebody that's able to get into the corner and facilitate that play from the backside. So here's what we're looking like. It's a very similar defensive setup to what we saw Cincinnati bringing to the table. The big difference being that we're bringing out the mute instead of the bandit, and that's going to be huge because it's going to take away some of that intel that is so prevalent on the side of Cincinnati, right? You've got the Dokkaebee, you've got the Twitch, you've got the Grimbees. Stand on that mute jammer, and you're going to be safe from all of them. There's going to be Blitz taking a bunch of damage right out the gate as he's reduced down to that 24 HP. Shield to save his life there as he lives to die another day.
Yeah, that's an important part. You talked about the mute jammers protecting this defense from all the electronic utility that the attackers are bringing in. I think that's a great combo. If you're noticing that, that Cincinnati heavy droning team relies a lot on that intel. It's a great change up there. But boy, Gilly getting another, this time on the blitz. He's playing those special ops, fighting back, getting that opening kill.
That's right, and that's going to do it. A pistol pop body drop as they're going to start to push themselves in. But he's
going
to be
the
taken out,
TK!
and the TK is going to ring out. He's going to find a double, however, as Paz finds his life forfeit. So in the end, not the worst trade, but Grim going to get taken down now. She's put ourselves into a 3v2 low health scenario. Mute to get taken down by the DMR, and all of a sudden, it's a 3v1. The attack just pushing in, finding the biggest person in the place, punching him straight in the face. And now they've got 60 1v4, seconds to still work with. Frost Trap going to help stop that push in.
There it
Plant's
is.
going down, Whiskey. We're going to go ahead and see this. It's a post-plant scenario. Got to have 7 seconds on the board to be able to stop that plant. So, well, my God, his work cut out for him as the retake starts to happen. He pushes in, couple of pre-fire. He's got some pings here, but not going to be necessarily close to where they're actually at.
Seems like a mistake. Yeah, bad ping coming out from this team.
So from the backside, looking for it. He's got the Aussie repel that he has to deal with here as well. And that's going to be the first bit of shots. He's coming around the corner, going to look for the long arm, but it's a sandwich here. Not going to be able to do. Oh, he got a triple kill now. He's going to try to open this up. Can he get the long arm? 10 seconds. This is going to be the only shot to do it. They're looking for him. It's a one tap. And they're going to find him. That's an attack win on Lair on the first round of the backside of the half. That's a mouthful.
That is a mouthful, but really to me the surprising thing here is Cincinnati seems like they are literally shooting themselves in the foot, right? We had a C4 kill self, a Pokeball self, and then a TK. Right? They're -3 in the kill feed on themselves. And they're still up 5-2. Right, Kennesaw is in it, but man, Cincinnati is they're making it harder on themselves. This should almost be closer than what we're seeing so far. So despite all of that, they're still coming up with wins. It was a great hold there from the attackers. Yep, yeah, you had that upside down repel. Love using that. And that's a difficult spot in order to try and hold. You've seen the defense try and long arm it, but when you've got that opened up with the upside down repel holding from out on the courtyard balcony, and you had Ace playing behind the mirror window on the operational side, just a good hold from this team. And so that is definitely the default plant right on mask on the half wall.
That was exciting, though. Right? The long arm, the 1v1, almost brought it back around. Cincinnati just looking good. They're just looking good right now. So we're going to see him stick to some similar stuff here, although a little adaptation here. The Flora is going to be brought out, and what is that going to do? That's going to get rid of some of the things with the bane of their existence on the last part of the push in, right? You saw somebody jump in the window, get hit by a frost trap, that leads to the kill. So send in the Floras, right? Get rid of some of those banshees, get rid of some of those frost traps, and really try to force that Mira out of that critical push point that she's able to hold so well. So on the defensive side of it, they're going to stick to much the same, right? Slow them down, pace setters here, and a couple of C4s to boot.
Changing up who's playing which operator, right? Bringing out the blitz, but instead of Vanessa, now Phineas gets to play it. And by the way, love the names, getting the opportunity to cast such a goated crew of people, Phineas and Ferb. Amazing. And look at this kill feed, just bam, bam, bam. Some of these rounds, will go all the way to the end, really slowed down, and then some are just going crazy. And right now, Cincy hitting all their shots. We talked about River needing to come up big, needing to find something. After we talked about him, he found 3 in the next round, but this round did not come up with anything. Cincinnati shutting down like crazy. And round 9, we are heading into it, my friend. Our first match point of the game.
That's crazy. How are we already here? We're already on a match point scenario. That means that Kennesaw has got to be perfect for 4 in a row to even have a shot. If you're a Cincinnati fan, you're feeling pretty good about that round differential right about now.
Yeah, you are. And a couple things coming out here, right? Kennesaw picking the first floor armory weapons site, and we talked about Bunks really felt like the primary site, right? Everybody that we've seen play this map chooses Bunks as the first floor site. So I don't know that we have not seen Lair very often, but I don't think we've seen the first floor armory site at all. So this would be a first for us to see it played out defensively. That feels like a really dangerous pick here for Kennesaw. And Cincinnati 6-2. Round differential being king. They're going to come hard on this one and take this fight very quickly, I imagine. Although, I was going to say, showing the blitz, they're going to trade off for the Ram. First floor site going to go for the vertical, so expect the Cincinnati team to go hard on 2F and clear out Kennesaw before they make that push down.
That's absolutely right, and I think that's the right call here. Yes, the blitz, it's all flash, it's all glitz and glam, it's the cool one, it's great for the stream, but in a round differential setup, you just got to take the W, right? So get back to a little bit of that traditional siege that you know and love. Clear out that gadget and utility that's dedicated to the extension. Take the vertical, pinch those players, isolate, and find yourself on the W. It's going to be pretty similar on the backside, but double up on the hard breach this time. Mute going to be utilized to take care of those drones, get rid of some of that intel. Specifically, try and stop that Brava and that Flores from getting in and doing that drone work. We've got 3 drone operators right now.
Wow, holding quite the angle there, and the mute jammer going down, the combination of the Brava and the Flores, right? Just a drone assault here on this team, in addition to some intel. And we were talking about the necessity of the 2F and how much time needed to be spent there, but early on in this round, most of the Kennesaw team was downstairs on that first floor. It felt really like a miss, but they have rotated back up. Now you got 3 upstairs on the 2F with just the Mira and the Bandit trying to hold on. So seeing Cincinnati rotate, you see the blue outline sort of spread out over most of the map. They've got a couple different pressure points that they're trying to put down here.
That's right. So, hey, somebody that's paying attention, we've only got 1 or 2 in sight. Maybe we take a shot at it. But as the round starts to tick down, you've seen that Mute made his way back down as well, leaving only Malusi and Frost. It's a 5-all here with 67 seconds left on the board. That means the trades, they're going to go crazy, my friends. Hold on to your hats as they start to make this final push in. Flores, now out of drones, done a great job of getting rid of all of that extension utility and forcing them back. Couple of shots, we're going to see him spread through this back side of the door. 3 of them looking to get active here, looking for the flank, but it's not going to be there just yet. There it is. River going to take Ferb off the board, and that's the Bravo gone. That's going to be a second for River now. Vanessa gets taken down, but it's Malusi. All of a sudden, we're in a 3v2. This is match point scenario, and it's starting to fall apart for the defense. Frost, the lone person left alive to keep their hopes, their dreams for this match. Open takes a couple of shots towards the door, but it's not going to find it. They're going to get in and start securing themselves. The plan as they rotate around towards the back side of the site is going to happen. Couple of shots, but it's going to be the miss. There's the first one. There's the second one, but the third is in place. Just not going to be enough. It's too little. It's too late. Cincinnati going to take this, and they're going to do it dramatically.
That's right, 7-2 victory here for Cincinnati. Boy, when the round differential counted, they showed up, and in a big way, winning every single one of their attacking rounds, right? That was a 3-0 perfect attacking half for them. Clinical there on labs, and I think Kennesaw was struggling a little bit, trying to find something to put together for defense. And I know the analysts are going to go over all of it here as soon as we get a chance to step out. But big GGs to Cincinnati to take their 3rd map win in a row.
Yeah, absolutely huge. Lair, it's a fun match to watch. And one of the things that's so important is the team that has a well put together attack team, they're going to thrive, right? They're going to do better. Okay, folks, we're going to get a little bit of the same that you've been seeing this evening. We're going to bring back some analysis, find out exactly what went down on that 7-2 victory for Cincinnati. So sit back, relax, because when we come back, we're going to chat about it.
Welcome back to some more R6 action here at the Butler Invitational in beautiful Indiana. I'm here with Duck R6 Cincinnati captain.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you, bro. How you been?
Doing pretty good.
But yeah, kind of a very quick affair on Lair. What do you say?
Yeah, we know these guys pretty well. So map bans went pretty fast, I'd say, and we just knew what map we wanted, and we got to go to that. I was really happy.
I mean, yeah, you got quite a bit of history with Kennesaw. Obviously, you met them in the grand finals of our LAN at QCC in the spring, but their roster's slightly different. I'm kind of curious about that River guy. From an opponent standpoint, what do you think about him?
Yeah, we played River in the CR6 quals, and we noticed instantly that he was one of their best players, if not the up-and-comer. Sorry, Meinheiden.
Yeah,
but
I was about to say, do you think he can topple Meinheiden?
I will say, I don't know if he will, but we noticed quickly that he was really good on guns, and one thing we noticed about Lair that we didn't see very much in the quals was oftentimes they were leading in, river to get those picks. But when we played them on lair, it was a lot more window cuts or sitting there and waiting for us to kind of advance into him. I don't know if that was Mine Hayden and Co.'s play style and overall what they were talking about, but at least for us, that's what we noticed.
Yeah, and kind of about playing those cuts. I mean, Lair obviously a very, very large map. Do you think Kennesaw was kind of counting on your aggressiveness to see if they could get a freebie here and there?
Well, I mean, after playing us so much, I'd hope that they'd have some sort of idea of what our identity is. Although we've changed rosters quite a bit, we've kind of adopted this aggressive mentality. And sometimes it could be really good for us and we end up getting everyone. Sometimes it could be really bad for us and we choke 5v1s and stuff like that. So definitely think that they took some consideration into that. I know early on there would be a couple window cuts that we'd swing into and die early, and they probably thought that was working, so they kept doing it.
Yeah, and I guess something I kind of want to talk about, you and me. We've been to so many lands at this point. Like, how does it feel being back?
I mean, these are one of my favorite events. This Butler land here is beautiful. I know you can kind of see it through the camera right now, but one of my favorite venues, if not my favorite venue of all time. Just overall, very beautiful here.
Yeah, no, and talking about beautiful stuff, I mean, some very solid, like, beautiful play from you guys so far. Obviously, off to a hot start against Purdue Fort Wayne. What were the scores on those maps?
I think it was 7-4, 7-2.
7-2.
I will say, Purdue Fort Wayne is a pretty monstrous team. I was not expecting a 7-4 on border. That was
Fellow on ping ranker.
They surprised me a little bit. I will admit. I was sleeping.
You got any thoughts on the rest of the people in your group? You have to play EKU.
Yeah, I'm really interested about this EKU roster. There was a lot of summer talk about if they were going to be a team, if they weren't going to be a team. Overall, it was they decided to come back together and form a team. They were really solid last year, but I know a lot of those internal beefs can often lead to, not a shaky start. You're not trusting the guy next to you to get your refrag and stuff like that. So overall, it'll be really interesting.
Yeah, and well, it seems in terms of trusting the guy next to you, get your refrags. There's a lot of trust in the Cincinnati system, wasn't there?
Yeah, we tried to stay a lot of times just friends outside the game. Before we went to the land, we actually carved pumpkins over at each other's house to try and build some connections with each other. So
that was fun. But I think I'm gonna let you have more fun, in the rest of the land because you got another map against Kennesaw to get.
Yeah, awesome. It was great seeing you, man.
It's great having you. And well, duck aside, I will now have my other two hosts, Smoke and Yali, now join me. And what a map, guys!
Yeah, I mean, that was just absolutely back and forth for the start, but then we saw Cincinnati just run rampant, run away with it. Again, layer, right? A map that's new in the comp pool. So, again, a lot of teams, you were saying, we were talking to the Cincinnati coach, both teams were just kind of banning each other's maps, right? They weren't really focusing on, which one do we want to keep, at least from what the coach said. I know Duck was saying maybe they wanted layers, so they had a little bit of an ace up their sleeve, but it certainly turned out to work in their favor.
I mean, when you're so familiar with each other's, quirks, you kind of just want to try and see, can we get them on an off mat? Can we get them with a gotcha? But it seems like the plan really didn't come to fruition for Kennesaw. And any kind of rounds in particular you guys want to highlight?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to talk to about round 2, which comes out hot off the heels of round 1. It was a rush. They opened up the wall into sight, followed by a rush through the server that was almost shut down by hatch play and vertical play. Not quite. And promptly, Cincinnati changes up the game plan. They bring a lot more utility to be able to open up vertical interplay above the site, maintaining key control directly around the site. And suddenly, it's nearly impossible for Kennesaw to actually penetrate into the site. And that is just one of the many examples throughout this match of the adaptability that Cincinnati brought. And it's not just one player either. It's this whole team. And I mean, I'm going to say it, carving pumpkins together, like, that brings up synergy, right? Yeah, that's 100%, right? Things you do outside of the game are just as important.
Yeah, no, like the Cincinnati team, definitely no bias at all. I have no relation to them at all. The Cincinnati team, definitely a well-oiled machine. I mean, it just looked like Kennesaw had a lot of difficulty kind of peeling back that defense for Cincinnati. Normally when it comes to these attacks, you want to like slowly chip away, but Layer's just so big. It's really hard to chip away at anything. What do you say?
Right. I mean, I want to add on to that. So again, Duck was pointing out earlier the window cuts and everything, how River was able to find picks early. Layer is a map where, as the attackers, it was designed as an easy map to get into the building. The problem is once you do end up doing that, that's where the hard part comes in. It is really hard to chip away at, finding out how to make these roamers move out of position, trying to get everybody to kind of turtle back to sight. That's the hard part. And then also create all those sight lines for your execute. That's where Lair kind of becomes this big monster. It's such a large map. It requires so much coordination. You really have to have an insanely communicative attack in order to thrive off of attacking on Lair. The problem is after that, once you've done that, right, the time is probably going to be down to your last couple of 20, 30 seconds. Then the execute happens. And the problem with that is because you've had to make so many of these sightlines we were seeing in the game, so many different soft head holes and feet holes and all that from the defense and the attack as well, especially with multi-breaches, it then becomes a game of who's able to utilize those crosses and those sightlines better. It kind of almost becomes a little bit of a 50-50 because at the same time, the defense, yes, while they are bunkered in, they have sightlines on everything that you are doing on the attacking side. So again, I feel like operators like Grim can make that a lot easier. We didn't necessarily see that brought out, but I do think that what I really loved out of Cincinnati is they realized, hey, you know what? As Duck was saying, River's getting these picks on these long angles from outside. That's what Layer's meant to do. Let's not give him that. Let's turtle back and instead design sight to be able to make it an absolute hellhole when the attack comes in and tries to open up as many angles or as many breaches as possible. That way, their execute isn't going to be organized. It's going to be volatile, and it allows us to create sight lines onto their entries. So it's a really good job there from Cincinnati, realizing, playing around the chaos that is Layer, utilizing the fact that it's a new map for a lot of these teams, and really punishing some of the mistakes that they saw Kennesaw making.
Yeah, no, the kind of flexibility Layer offers, I mean, like you mentioned before, it's very open, but a lot of these Cincinnati defenses, a lot of the deployable shields, a lot of Mira, a lot of Castle, kind of plugging up any holes, and sure, they can't plug up everything, but all the gaps there are exposed. It's a known quantity. They know what to expect. They have it in the back of their mind. And, I mean, just kind of, it was clinical, just absolutely clinical from Cincinnati on Layer. I mean, any additional thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thought here is the kind of position that this puts Cincinnati into moving forward. Cincinnati so far is the only team that has gone 3-0, completely undefeated. And you might think that put them in a good spot in the standings, and you would be right. A 7-4, 7-0, and 7-2 leaves them at plus 15. The next closest round differential is only a plus 5, and that's not even in their group. Cincinnati at this point would have to throw very, very hard to not find themselves in the first seed going forward, which is fantastic because that puts them up against a team from another group who hasn't been performing today and may not perform tomorrow as well.
Yeah, and well, Cincinnati is known for its baseball, so don't count us out when it comes to throwing. But yeah, I mean, I think that wraps up that match pretty nicely, and I do believe it is Purdue Fort Wayne versus EKU up next on streams. So we'll be taking things to a quick break, and we'll be back for some more collegiate action soon.
Thank you for watching. For more updates, follow the Butler Esports socials at Butler Esports.